everybody! Welcome back to Tool School. We are on episode 2. Today we're going to learn about drawings and how to make a cut list for your building projects. Yesterday we learned about lumber, and so if you missed that episode, you can go back, watch it, learn all about lumber, and specifically some of the types of lumber that we're going to use for this project that we're doing together, which is a small wooden box. Okay, so many moons ago, when I was in architecture school, I learned these 3 types of drawings: a plan, a section, and an elevation. These are 3 really common types of drawings that are used by architects and engineers and builders as a way of communicating how a building is meant to be built and looking at it from different perspectives and angles. So we're going to use these 3 drawings because for our box project, it's going to be really useful to have a visual reference that we can look at to remind ourselves how this thing is put together, what size things are, etc. So enter my beautiful red apple. We're going to use an apple. I'm going to show you how to draw a plan, section, and elevation using an object that we're all super familiar with. If you happen to have a piece of fruit in your kitchen right now, you could go grab it and do this with me. I love doing this with a bell pepper because it's so beautiful and complex inside, but we'll start with an apple. Okay, so a plan, I'm sure you've maybe all seen or at least heard of a floor plan, right? A floor plan is a drawing usually of a house or a building that shows rooms and doors and what's happening inside. And it's a view from above, right? So a plan is a view of an object or a building looking down on it. So if I look down on my apple, what do I see? I see the overall shape. I see a stem and a sticker. Apple plan, check. A section is a way of looking inside an object by making a cross cut through it. And you can make that cut in lots of different ways. I could make a vertical cut through my apple. I could make a horizontal cut through my apple, like in Fruit Ninja, okay? Let's see, if I made a vertical cut through my apple, what would that look like? You can all probably picture that. I cut my apple, then I ate half of it. So here's my half-eaten vertical section of my apple. Here's some bite marks, more bite marks, a stem, a seed in the middle. There's my vertical section, okay? I could also cut my apple this way. If I did that, I did do that, and I also ate half of it. Looks like this. More bite marks, a little star in the middle, and a seed. There's my horizontal section. Okay, and then an elevation is an outside view. It's a way of looking at the side of something from the outside. So I'm looking at the elevation of my beautiful apple. It looks like this. I can see a little bit of a sticker, a little bit, okay? There's my elevation. With sections and elevations, you may need to do multiples because sometimes, like with the apple, this is helpful, but I may also need to know what's happening inside the apple vertically. You might need to do that with elevations too. There's so many sides of an apple or a house, you're probably going to need to draw multiple elevations to show the whole story of the thing. All right, so for our project, we decided that we're going to use a 1x6 and a 1x10 to build our box. We also discovered that our 1x6 is not 1x6, right? It is, remember, 3/4 by 5.5. And our 1x10 is 3/4 by 9.25. That's going to be helpful for our drawings. So when I was thinking about designing this project, I thought we could use the 1x10, it's a little bit wider, as our bottom piece and our top piece of our box. And then we'll use the 1x6 for our walls, okay? So when we start drawing, in my head, I imagined that this box would be square. Maybe you don't want to do yours square, but I like squares. So I'm gonna draw my plan of my box as 9.25, because we already know this is 9.25, and I'm gonna draw it as a square, meaning I'm going to have to eventually cut a piece out of this that is 9.25 in this dimension also, right? So in plan, I just decided I'm going to make a square box. This is the bottom of my box, okay? In plan, I also, though, am going to see the walls, and the walls have a thickness, and that thickness is 3/4 of an inch, which we already know. So when I draw my walls, I need to represent that thickness. I'm going to stop that wall right there. You're going to see why in a minute. Stop, wall, stop, wall. So what I did there, the way that the corners meet, that's called pinwheeling, where each wall butts into the next one. This one butts into this one butts into this one, etc. It sort of goes around in a pinwheel motion. I just think that's kind of a fun detail. It's just a fun building challenge, so I decided to throw that in. Also, I'm going to just show that this is the bottom of my box here. It's not an empty frame, okay? So that's my plan. That's looking down at my box, showing the walls and how they meet, and then the bottom of the box. Easy. For the section, let's think about if this box is sitting on a table, and if I cut through it this way, what is it going to look like? I'm going to see the bottom of my box. I'm also going to see the slices through the walls, and then I'm going to see in the background the back wall. This is like if I cut it in half, right? And then eventually I'm going to put a top on it, so I'll see the cross section of the top too. Okay, and then for the elevation, what's this box going to look like sitting on a table looking at it from the outside? I'm still going to see the bottom. I'm going to see this wall, the whole wall, because I'm looking at it from the outside. But then remember, it's going to stop right here. And I'm also going to see the end of this wall that it butts into. And then eventually I'll have the top too. So that's my elevation. And lucky for us, the way I drew this pinwheel, this is the elevation for every single side. All of the side views are the same with this box. For future projects, you might have something more complicated, and you might have to draw multiple elevations to show different sides that have different dimensions. Great. Okay, so last thing I want to do is do a cut list, which is like a recipe for building. This is my favorite part. So I like to format my cut list in a specific way. The purpose of the cut list is to tell you how many pieces, what size, and what type you need to build this thing. So I'm going to say quantity, how many do I need to cut? What material am I going to cut the piece out of? What size or dimension am I going to cut that piece to? And then what is the part or purpose of this piece? That's extra helpful. All right, so let's look at our drawings. We know that we're going to use the 1x10 for the top and the bottom, and we said, okay, we're going to make it square. So we need a piece for the top, piece for the bottom. We need 2 pieces out of the 1x10, and we're going to cut it at 9 1/4, right, to make this a square. 9 1/4. That's what we're going to measure, mark, and cut. And what's the part or the purpose? This is for the top and bottom. All right, then our 4 walls. We need 4 pieces. We're going to cut them all out of our 1x6 this time. And what's our cut dimension? It's not 9 1/4. It's a little bit shorter because we need to account for the thickness of this wall that it's butting into, which we remember is 3/4. So what does that make our shorter wall piece? 9 1/4 minus 3/4 equals beep, beep, boop, beep, 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 boop, 8 1/2. So our wall, just the wall piece, is 8 1/2. And what's the point of these pieces? They are our walls. Ta-da! There's our cut list. So the cut list and the drawings together, this is all the information that we need to start building this thing. So the next thing we're going to do in the next video is learn how to measure and mark out our wood so that we can go and cut them on a variety of different saws. Great job! See you next time!